When so fantasies fans are about to witness one of the biggest franchise battle in modern entertainment because two legendary worlds are returning almost back to back. Harry Potter is officially getting a massive HBO reboot series, while Narnia the Magician's Nephew is bringing the Chronicles of Narnia back to the big screen under the direction of Greta Gerwig. And now fans everywhere are debating which project is actually more exciting. On paper, both franchises have enormous advantage. These are the two of the most iconic fantasy universe ever created and both already dominated pop culture during the 2000s. For millions of fans, these stories define childhood, but what makes this reboot battle fascinating is that both projects are trying to fix problems from their original adaptation while also convincing audience there's still something fresh left to explore. The new Harry Potter reboot might actually have the biggest structural advantage immediately because HBO is turning the books into long form television series instead of another movie franchise. That decision alone changes everything. One of the biggest criticism of the original Harry Potter films was always that they had to cut huge amount of material from the books. Entire storyline, character arcs, magical lore, emotional moments were either shortened or completely removed because the movie simply didn't have enough time. But television changes that completely. Modern fantasy storytelling thrives in episodic formats now. Shows like Game of Thrones proved that fantasy world become far richer when creators have multiple episodes to explore details, politics, side characters, and long-term development. HBO's Harry Potter series could have finally included all the missing material fans have wanted to see for years. Meanwhile, Greta Gerwig's Narnia reboot has its own major advantage. It's starting with completely fresh material. Instead of remaking The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe yet again, Gerwig is reportedly beginning with The Magician's Nephew, a story that has never received a major live action adaptation before. That instantly gives the project a freshness factor because Harry Potter struggles with because audience have already seen Harry, Ron, Hermione, Hogwarts, and major events of the original story countless times. The Magician's Nephew is especially important because it explores the origins of Narnia itself. It introduces how the magical world was created and the origins of the White Witch and the deeper mythology surrounding Aslan and the universe. For longtime fans of the book, finally seeing that story adapted is genuinely exciting because it expands the fantasy world in ways previous movie never reached. There's also a risk with that strategy. The magician nephew simply isn't as famous as the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe. Casual audiences may not instantly recognize it, which could make marketing harder compared to the instantly recognizable Harry Potter brand. And honestly, this is where the Harry Potter becomes incredibly difficult to compete with. The Wizarding World isn't just populates one of the biggest entertainment franchises ever created. Harry Potter became a cultural phenomenon on a level very few stories ever achieve. The merchandise, theme parks, fan communities, games, costumes, collectibles, and constant global popularity never really slowed down after the movies ended. By comparison, Narnia has always been slightly more niche. The original Narnia films performed well, especially The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe, but each sequel lost momentum over time. Meanwhile, the Harry Potter franchise became bigger with almost every release, eventually leading to Deathly Hallows Part 2, making over $1 billion globally. The mainstream audience connection is simply much stronger with Harry Potter. However, Narnia still has one advantage that Harry Potter currently doesn't: the theatrical experience. Netflix is reportedly giving The Magician's Nephew a major worldwide theatrical release before it eventually arrives on streaming. That's a massive deal because theatrical fantasy movies can feel like cultural events. Huge fantasy films create excitement differently than streaming shows do. Fans gather in theaters, social media explodes with reaction, merchandise sales surge, and the spectacle becomes part of the experience itself. Harry Potter's HBO series may dominate streaming conversations for years, but Narnia has the opportunity to create that magical cinematic event feeling all over again. Still, when you step back and look at the long term picture, HBO's Harry Potter reboot probably has the largest ceiling overall. Reports suggest the series is designed as a decade long project, meaning HBO could potentially adapt each book with incredible detail over many years. If executed properly, the show could dominate fantasy television throughout the late 2020s and even into the 2030s. And the biggest reason this feels so important is because enough material was left out of the original movie that the story can still feel new again. Fans want to see Pius more of Voldemort's backstory, deeper Hogwarts lore, and the full complexity of the wizarding world, and the richer character development that the films couldn't fully explore. At the same time, if Gerwig continues adapting Narnia chronology even after The Magician's Nephew, she will eventually circle back to stories audience have already seen before. Harry Potter faces that challenge immediately, but the television format may help it overcome the problem more effectively. In the end, both projects are incredibly exciting for fantasy fans. Narnia offers mystery, unexplored storytelling, and Greta Gerwig's creative vision. But HBO's Harry Potter reboot feels like something potentially much larger, not just a reboot, but a massive long term fantasy event that could redefine television for an entire generation all over again. Thank you for watching. Bye.